Okay, we are clear off of YouTube here. That Slick 6 stuff is really cool, dude. It's really stupid that they didn't launch there. All right, let me retitle the YouTube stream and thumbnail, and we'll get going. Dude, I was reading this. That's why I was there for a second. Check this out. This prompted a review by the Government Accounting Office, which determined that the West Coast launch site for the shuttle was unnecessary, and the shuttle could instead perform all launches, including over the North Pole from Florida. That conclusion was rejected by the Department of Defense, and by the early 1980s, construction began at Slick 6 to convert it to the shuttle's requirements. There's that GAO report. A second launch site for the shuttle, an analysis of needs for the nation's space program, dated August 4th, 1978. Huh. I'd be very curious what's in that report. Yeah, I'd be very curious to read that someday. Because, yeah. I don't know. If you guys were running out the shuttle program, right? If you were running the shuttle program in the late 80s, would you want an East and a West Coast launch site? Because I would. I absolutely would. Anyway, real quick, page 18. Oh,
Discovery.
Cool. Well, the press conference is live, so I'm going to get YouTube going, and we're going to go from there. Stand by for acquisition of signal. Darzan Bennett, 128-month resub. Stand by for acquisition of signal on YouTube in 5, 4, 3, 2. Okay. Here we go, guys. Artemis II press conference update is how we're going to start this space news, so I'm just going to get right into it. Let's roll. Let me key in the audio.
PM. So while many of us have felt for the last several days and weeks and even months that we have a countdown clock and we were moving toward a targeted launch date, now the countdown clock shows that. And we are just about 2 days away from our targeted launch date. Our team has worked extremely hard to get us to this moment, and I am so very proud of the work that they have done. When we went through wet dress, the rollback, turning the vehicle around, getting back out to the pad, and then performing to plan, and really being ahead of plan as we rolled into this weekend. I think Sean mentioned yesterday that we rolled back out on the 20th. And since we've been back out at the pad over these last 10 or so days, we've got all of our planned work is complete. Launch countdown preps are complete. We had all of them essentially done on Saturday. Emergency egress system is configured, ready to go. Crew access arm configured. We are now into, like I said, our launch countdown operations. So we'll power up Orion a little bit later this evening, and then core stage a little bit later after that, and then ICPS will follow. We'll begin the configurations of the vehicle, the checkouts that we do prior to getting deeper into our countdown, and all of this will take us over the next day or so. We do have our Heritage and 2 changeover. Will happen early in the morning on the 1st, and as you know, that kind of sets the pace for when we can tank the vehicle. Our LD go for cryo load is at 0734. We did put a new hold, or we extended the hold a little bit in the countdown just before tanking. So if the work is done and the team is ready, we may tank a little bit before that. We'll make that decision on console. but the tanking is planned for 07:34, and that puts us, if everything goes to plan, with all stages replenished and the closeout crew ready to head to the White Room somewhere after 1 o'clock. Our flight crew will depart the ONC just before 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and we'll count down. We'll get them in the ship. We'll do comm checks, make sure all of that's good, get the crew module configured, and we will count down to our T-minus 10-minute hold. Once we finish up that 30-minute hold and all systems are go, we'll pick up the count and we'll count down to our T0. So that's a little bit about our milestones and kind of where we are. It is an exciting time. It's an exciting time for this team and our crew and really our nation and the world. So we'll, as many have said, even yesterday, and as we talk about in all of our management meetings, we'll fly when this hardware is ready. We'll see if it's ready to go in just a couple of days. But certainly all indications are right now we are in excellent shape as we get into count. And with that, I'll hand it over to John.
Thank you, Charlie. Let's see. It's L-2. Glad to be back with you folks. Amit gave you a good overview of the L-2 mission management team meeting today, so I'm going to talk to you a little bit about why we do it and what the process is. So it's an important checkpoint following the agency flight readiness review. It's not intended to be a rerun of the flight readiness review. Rather, it's a chance for us to get together and do three things. It's walk through the work that we've closed since FRR, walk through the work that we're still doing, and then discuss any new issues that are out there. So today we took a focused, disciplined look at to validate the work we've done and make sure that the path to the next milestone is clean, deliberate, and fully aligned. Before we polled the mission management team for go, we had a verbal roundtable allowing all the program managers and advisors an opportunity to ask any remaining questions. There were none. Before I polled the team, we took about a 10-minute break. I like to do that to let folks that are might be a little bit intimidated, get questions to folks that are willing to speak up on their behalf. We got folks to get back together. Again, there were no questions, and then finally we conducted the readiness poll and for launch operations, and we had full concurrence, and we were a go. So with that, I'll turn it over to Emily.
Thank you, John. And again, I'll thank everybody for coming. We really appreciate your support. Our teams in Mission Control and our crew members have spent the last over a year, 2 years, dedicated to training for this particular mission, developing all of the products associated with this flight, and they are ready to go. Our crew members, Reed, Victor, Christina, and Jeremy, they've spent the last couple of days here at the Cape since they got here on Friday, getting an opportunity for some rest before we work them very hard. They are getting an opportunity to spend some time with their families. Tomorrow they'll get a few last-minute briefings and meetings with some of the team before they head into launch day, as Charlie spelled out for you. As we come to this really exciting moment, the opportunity is immense for us to
See if I can refresh this.
It's an incredible moment for the Artemis generation, and we're excited, and we are.
Let's try this one.
We'll start right here in the front.
Oh dear.
Hi, thank you for being here with us today.
Better.
And my name is Jim Siegel. I'm with Florida Media Now, and I'm curious about the kinds of cargo, whether it is food or experiments or whatever, that have been loaded on the
hey, I mean, that's cool, man. Right on.
The spacecraft last. And when was that?
Falcon going up there.
If there is a delay in launching,
1067 is going to see the life leader is going to fly today. So see what happens, man.
Thank you.
I can take that. Our turnover For our last stow, so we do have a stow in launch countdown. It happens somewhere between about L-30 and about L-24. We have the Avatar that will go in, and of course that is provides us insight into effects on tissue. We also have the zero gravity indicator, and then some other late stow items. I think we have 4 bags that are going in, and then certainly if we end up in an extended scrub, then there are change-outs associated with some of that. And that's pretty standard for our timelines. We look at all of our scrub schedules. We have destow and restow ops. Yeah.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Inside
Okay,
of 2
we'll take
minutes
another
for
question
Falcon
here in the
9.
room. Let's go right here.
Hi, Ken Kramer, Space Up Close. Thank you. Thanks for all the work that you're doing. It's fantastic. My question is for Amit. Since you mentioned the future architecture a little bit, I'm curious, you guys were planning to do uncrewed test flights of these lunar landers, the human landers, about a year ahead of time in the past. I'd like to know what is the plan now? How is that all going to work out?
Still going to do those. We still need to make sure we can land robotically with those machines before we decide to commit the crew to them, but we're trying to get early data on life support systems, the rest of their systems ahead of time, which is why we want to do Earth orbit activity to make sure we can shake that out while they're concurrently pressing towards doing landing attempts as well.
That's fine.
So we haven't taken that off the plan.
When would it be?
Right now, we're planning on uncrewed landings next year in 27. We're working with the vendors to bring those in. I think that's been the baseline plan for a little while. We think we can hold to that, but again, it's going to depend on a lot of the milestones coming up, like propellant transfer, et cetera. So that's we're working with them to do everything we can to get side by side with them to help them. But we have to land uncrewed before we're willing to commit the crew to a landing mission. Yep.
Okay, we'll take one more in the room right here, and then we'll head to our phone bridge.
Yes, Frederick Castel with the France 24 television. You
I'm
mentioned
gonna
that
turn
the
that
crew
down.
was,
We're gonna pipe
resting with
in
the family.
that.
Is there something similar,
Then flip it.
like the beach house they had in the past? Have been to the beach or something of this kind? Thank you.
Yes, this evening they'll get the opportunity to have dinner with their families at the beach house. So they've gotten to spend most of today
10,
with their
9,
families, and tonight they
8,
happen to be at the beach house.
7, 6,
Sound suppression system
Okay,
is
we'll
on.
head
Bad
over
news
to our
is
phone
on.
bridge. Our next
3,
question is from
2,
Bill Harwood with
1,
CBS News.
ignition, and liftoff. Go Falcon, go Starlink.
Trivia question for Emily. A lot of folks are calling this a 10-day mission, and the flight plan that I've seen shows it a 9-day, 1 hour, and
Gotta live 1067 on
minute
its
mission.
34th flight.
And I just wonder if you'd set the record straight. Do you round up 9 days, 1 hour to 10? Or should we be calling this a 9-day mission? Thanks.
So we're going to keep calling it a 10-day mission. In general, though, if we launch on the 1st, we're going to land probably on the 10th. I don't want to dare the space gods by trying to say I know exactly what's going to happen and exactly how the burns are going to go, because obviously things change in flight.
Fair.
But yeah, generally,
See, that's what I mean. No
our
bad
planned
vibes.
launch, for a planned launch on April 1st, we come down on April 10th. So if you just do basic math, that's maybe not a whole 10 days, but I'm going to round up.
Okay, our next question is from Christopher Mick with Hudson Star Observer.
Thank you so much for taking my question and for you all for your time today. I just had a couple follow-ups, I think, that were mentioned at the briefing yesterday. I think Dr. Glaze mentioned about some outstanding medical equipment that needed to be secured at the different kind of abort locations, and that was ongoing. And then just maybe with Charlie Blackwell Thompson, maybe to follow up on just if there's been any update on some of the comms issues that were happening before. Are those kind of ironed out and working well?
Were you guys able to get that?
Yeah, so actually this is a wonderful, this is why it's great to be in America, because we're literally during this presser like, sorry, your question got walked on because there's another launch going on right now. We all looked at each other like, I don't think there's earthquakes in Florida.
Dude, that's this rocket making the noise in the press conference.
The boom will be pretty quick though. What, can you repeat your question online? I think we're clear now.
That's so good.
Okay, yes. I was just
That's
asking,
awesome.
Kind of following up from yesterday, I think Dr. Glaze mentioned some of the medical equipment that still needed to be secured at some of the abort locations. Was just checking on the
it's a
status
drone ship landing,
on that. And then
unfortunately.
maybe for Charlie Blackwell Thompson, was just wanting to see if there's any update on the comms issues since you have people on the countdown now.
Amit just said,
been ironed
he
out
just
working
said,
well.
dude.
Okay, I'll take the first one. Yeah, one of the actions we took from FRR, I think this is what you're referring to. There's also some late stow medical kits because we want to make sure we maximize the efficacy of those. I think that's maybe in the last 4 bags, but typically we add those things late. We also did want to make sure that our transatlantic abort regions had the right equipment just in case we had to divert and during one of those longer abort scenarios. And so we did. JD Polk and our health and medical team has been in active negotiations with a lot of our partners on the other side of the Atlantic to make sure that those
that's
facilities
crazy.
are ready.
I don't think that's ever happened.
That was an action
before.
coming out of FR, and that was closed today. We're holding open maybe a signature or two, but separately we have made contact with all those facilities. Understand their capability and procedures, and they're ready to support us. So you want to take the other one?
Yeah, I'll take the one on the comm. So we've done a number of things relative to the comm
Bank separation?
the comm system to make sure that we're in the best configuration that we can be in. We actually did a big comm test before rollout, and it worked very well. We didn't have any issues. As part of that, we did a system load, had the firing room full of folks just to make sure that it wasn't related to how much load you had on the system. We've also added some rigor into the network that we have and the ability, in the event that we have an issue, that we can go isolate that node of the network. And so that was a change that we put in place, and we tested that out. And so when it comes to the communications issues, each and every one of the items that we have found that have contributed to comm challenges, all of those have been addressed. And so based on what we know today, we expect to have nominal comm throughout the countdown. Certainly, you can have hardware that breaks, and so if something else or something new were to happen, we will do what we always do, and we'll assess it, and we'll address it in real time. And then also during wet dress, we did utilize a contingency procedure that we have for utilization of radios within the Launch Control Center for certain types of operations until you could get comm fully functional again. So I think we're in a good spot relative to comm, but there has been significant work on it over the last several weeks.
Okay, we'll take some more questions here in the room. Let's head to the back on this side. Jackie?
Hi, thanks for doing this. A quick question for Mr. Honeycutt. I just wanted to know were there any details you could share from the meeting today about specifically what items you were discussing? And then I know you mentioned in a previous news conference that not all decisions have to be unanimous and you have the final call. I was just curious if you've run into any instances yet where things haven't been unanimous.
Well, the only ones that I can recall that were not unanimous was when we were working, when Charlie brought some MMT things to us during the sim. They were only sim related, but none of the other stuff, it's been pretty smooth. What was the first question? They were pretty easy. Amit mentioned one of them relative to getting a signature on a piece of paper, so we're carrying that open. We got some work going on with one of our remote satellites to get the mechanism that tilts the satellite repaired and getting it back up and running. That work was ongoing while we were in the meeting, so we'll get notified later on. I'm pretty sure that
1067's coming up, the supersonic retro propulsion.
We talked a little bit about a gas analyzer that's on the Orion capsule. Got satisfied with the minor challenges that we had with that. So those kinds of things. But it wasn't anything big. No showstoppers. Nothing that gave us pause for concern and said, hey, we got to come back tomorrow and do L-1.
Okay, let's take a question from this side, right here on the second row.
Hi, Philip Sloss. I think this is for Charlie.
Phil!
Previously, you talked about a part 2 of the countdown demonstration test. Were you able to do that with the crew out at the pad?
So
It's the goat
part
right
two
there.
of the countdown demonstration test was intended to be a walk down of the emergency egress system and just a refresher. We are doing a refresher with them this evening, actually, in a briefing format, and they have been back out at the pad and have had an opportunity to take a look at it. But in terms of calling it a CDT Part 2, we did not do the CDT Part 2 procedure, but we certainly will be covering the material with the crew tonight just to make sure that it's exactly as they remembered it and they have had an opportunity to be out at the pad.
1067's coming in for its
let's talk to the
34th
front
landing here.
Thank you very much. Tarek Malik with Space.com. I think for
Tarek.
Charlie, it sounds from what you're saying that everything seems to be going extremely smoothly. I'm curious, are there any open items with the vehicle at all right now? And if not, like what are the key, I guess, checks between now and tomorrow, you know, that you're looking for to make sure that all the boxes are checked, the I's are dotted, et cetera, you know, for that?
It's a great question.
Rainbow right there for 1067.
This
It's coming
pathway has
down.
gone extremely smooth, and we have been on plan
Landing
or
burns
ahead
on.
of schedule.
She's over the drone ship.
The whole entire time. And so we essentially were able to
Just
pull
read the
in
instructions in view.
our launch countdown preps by an entire day. And it worked out great because we finished up most of our work on Saturday.
In 1067.
We were carrying one weather day.
34th
This was intended
mission.
to be a 12-day pad flow,
New
one
life
weather
leader.
day. And we when we finished the work up by Saturday and we're sitting on this weather day, it happened to be on the day where we expected bad weather, so it gave most of the team, or a good part of the team, an opportunity to take a breath, get ready for launch countdown. So that has all gone very well. In terms of constraints, I've been in this business a long time, as many of you know, and I've been through a lot of launch countdown pre-test briefings. And we had our launch countdown pre-test briefing on Saturday. It went a full 3+ hours, very thorough review. And out of that, we were tracking exactly one constraint, one. It was on the LH2 flare stack on the pilot light. And we have 3 of them. We need one to light the flare stack. But we wanted to have full redundancy going into this countdown, even for something as small as the flare stack. And so I'm happy to report at this time that we were able to find the issue with that and correct it, and we are 3 of 3, and that paper's closing. And the last call to the firing room before I came to this briefing, the most significant issue that was being worked at the time was they had a couple of monitors in the spare console that we don't use very often, but when they powered everything up and they were going through all of the checks, they found that they had 2 monitors that needed to be replaced. So, those are welcomed issues. If that's what we're talking about, over the next few days, that'd be great. In terms of what's coming up, I mean, there's a lot of vehicle checks coming up. So, we've powered all these vehicle elements up. We've checked them out. RF's been checked out. We've done commanding during wet dress with the flight control team. I mean, wet dress is as close to launch as you get without it being launch day. And we had a very successful wet dress. So in terms of what am I watching? Well, I'm watching everything, all the way until we get to tanking and then all the way through tanking. So every check is significant when you're in launch countdown, but I do feel good about where we are based on having a good wet dress and knowing that all of these elements have been powered up during the pad flow. They've all been checked out and maybe not quite put into the launch configuration exactly, but they've all been checked. So.
Okay, we'll take another question on this side, right here.
Interesting.
Yes, Bert Dicht from Ad Astra Magazine, National Space Society. A question for Emily. At a previous news conference, it was mentioned that 25 years of operations in low Earth orbit doesn't really prepare us for going to the moon. So I'm just wondering, what types of additional things have your mission controllers done to prepare? And I'm sure looking at Artemis I, but does looking back at Apollo data offer any guidance or insight?
Absolutely. So Artemis I is, of course, a first step there. Some of the lessons that we learned there, just the navigation in the vicinity of the moon was a little different than what we expected, so we had really great learning there. How to operate this spacecraft in its space environment, when you're orbiting the Earth, you get a lot more eclipses, you have a certain type of environment that you're working in. The environment as we're going out to and around the moon is a very different environment. So we learned a lot about how this spacecraft will operate in its environment. And then, yes, we absolutely refer back to what the generations, the shoulders that we're standing on. We've had, in preparation not only for Artemis II, but also for the lunar landing missions, for the opportunities to walk on the surface, for all of those lessons learned, we go back and we chat with the leaders of those missions on as often as we can get them to come back and talk to us, because we don't want to learn again a thing we've learned in the past. There's too many new things to learn, and so we want to make sure that we've incorporated everything that they've learned as to the extent that we can, and be able to go and explore new territory.
I'd just add real quick the premise a little bit of your question. I think it's the right one. I think the risk tolerances are different, and leaving LEO is a different kind of mentality. But the life support systems we're fielding on Orion were first fielded on ISS. The main engine on the service module was first fielded on ATV, which rendezvoused with ISS. The health and medical performance, all of the suit designs that we're feeding forward, 25 years of flying space station has given us reliability and understanding of the elements of the machines that we're flying around the moon to a large extent, which is why we're comfortable taking these risks, because we have fielded, if not the exact same variants, but a lot of the same pieces of hardware with heritage from the station program.
Okay, we'll take another question on this side, second row right here.
Thanks very much. Ivan Semenek with the Globe and Mail. For those, this is a question I think for Charlie Blackwell Thompson. For those who are not in the space business, I think countdowns usually start 10, 9, 8. Here we are 50 hours or so ahead of the launch. I was wondering if you could unpack what determines why it's that amount of time, and what's the difference between being in countdown, not being in countdown at this stage, what that means for everyone and for the crew too. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And you could start a countdown. You could decide, and we made a decision based on, I would say, a little bit on heritage. But
that's fair. That's a fair question.
You could say that countdown started at tanking, and some folks do that, and then it would be from about that last 12 hours or so. For us, the decision for when countdown started, it was when are we starting to configure the ground systems and the flight elements for countdown. And when you start from scratch, you go and you look at how long is it going to take to do, and you lay it out step by step, and it turns out that it was about 2 days long. If you laid that side by side with shuttle was about 3 days long, so it was longer. If you look at it next to some of the commercial missions, you'll find that they're a day or less. So we're somewhere right there in the middle, but it's really driven by the work. You could draw that line anywhere you wanted, really, and say it's going to be the last 10 minutes, and all this other stuff is going to be called preps. But for us, what we decided was that it's when you start doing that final configuration of the ground systems and the flight systems. But you're right. Most folks think about that last 10 minutes and those polls and getting into those dynamic systems and the final countdown. Yeah.
All right. Right there.
Good afternoon. Nelson Castro from Channel 13 Antenna from Argentina. Artemis is taking an Argentinian-made satellite. My question is, two questions. What are the main goals for you for the whole mission, and concerning the information that that satellite could provide? No? And also, does that mean that in the future, this cooperation with foreign countries in order to take part in the mission is going to be a trend? Thank you very much.
I'll take the second part, and then one of y'all that does the payload stuff can. This crew is an international crew for a reason. Our cooperation will, for the previous question, one of the most amazing things about Space Station, I think the most amazing thing was the partnership that was developed to operate that machine. As I said in my opening, we're going to need the free nations of the world to collaborate to build even more ambitious architectures as we expand our range of action throughout the solar system. There's no question in my mind. It's a partnership is fundamental to that, and we're very, very proud to be flying with an Argentine payload on this mission. In terms of the details, I think it's co-manifested, but Emily, do you have that?
I don't have the details on each of the co-manifested payloads, so I'll have to go and look that one up for you.
It's a unique experiment because in this particular case, where it's on Artemis I, we had co-manifested payloads as well. Those had a little bit more benefit because they were riding along with the basically propelled by the ICPS. The ICPS for Artemis I was heliocentric disposal, and so in which case those payloads are put on that trajectory. In this case, we're doing Earth disposal of the ICPS, and so unless the hardware has some propulsive components, they pretty much they're going to be coming home with that. But that doesn't mean you can't do interesting things with the payload as we go forward. So in terms of the actual details, we know that our Exploration Operations Office has been collaborating with them to make sure that they are loaded. We held extra time in the plan so that we could provide additional accommodation in the stage adapters in order to do it, and our partners delivered the hardware on time. And if it succeeds, we're very hopeful that it does, but the success of those CubeSats is also not integral to the success of Artemis II as a test activity. But every chance we send mass to space, we want to take as much advantage of any extra room we have.
Okay, we'll take our next question on the phone, and then we'll come back here to the room. Our next question is from Marcia Smith with spacepolicyonline.com.
Thanks so much for taking my question. There was a powerful solar flare today, and I had a couple of questions about that. I'm not sure if it's Ahmed or Emily or who would answer it, but I'm curious as to how much advance notice NASA had of the solar flare. And whether or not that matters in terms of planning
the lower
for
third
the
off
rest
the
of the
screen.
mission.
Thank you.
And what would happen if this intensity of a solar flare happened while the crew was out there? And I gather it's not going to have any effect on this mission, or you would have mentioned it already, but I did just want to ask.
Yeah, so Marcia, it was today, but UTC, it was actually last night. It was the flare. We were just talking to Joe Westlake before we came over here, and we talked to her a little bit before that. We're not expecting the CME to cause any effects. There's going to be a light kind of G2 level event in the southern hemisphere. It should dissipate by the 31st in the evening, I think is what Joe said. So we're not tracking concerns for the mission in general. We do have solar weather constraints for launch, depending on the sensitivities of various avionics as we go. So we watch those as we go. We have some of the best teams in the world, both at Goddard and at NOAA, that are watching those things all the time. The Space Radiation Analysis Group reports directly to MCC Houston. We also take advantage of the NOAA SWPC group to go and do the monitoring for us. Of course, we have an incredible telescope staring at the sun all the time. I'd always give the Helio guys a hard time because I'm waiting for them to tell me when and exactly they can predict these flares to occur, because I really, really want that. But again, what we have is pretty quick notification and observation of these events. We can quickly triangulate the direction of any mass ejection and see if it's going to impact the mission. In terms of in-flight radiation response?
One of our test objectives is actually to set up the radiation shelter, so we'll be doing that anyway, even without a radiation event. But basically, we've got a section of the spacecraft that we would set up, and the crew would stay in that area until we gave them the all clear that the radiation event had passed. Sort of like what we do in LEO if we need the crew to shelter there as well.
The only thing I would add is that we do have LCCs on space weather, and those are monitored by our launch weather officer and reported just like any other weather constraint. It starts at tanking and goes down to 6 minutes.
Okay, we'll take another question in the room right here, third row on the inside.
Hi, Lauren Grush with Bloomberg. Thanks so much. I was just wondering if you could walk us through the various abort scenarios and the contingencies for this mission, both during launch and during the major milestones during flight. For instance, is there a contingency plan if there's a technical issue during the ProxOps demo, for instance? And are there any portions of this flight that really just cannot support an abort or a contingency? Thank you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So let me do the ProxOps one first, because that one's fairly straightforward. If we run into any issues, then the crew is just going to back away, and we'll separate the Orion from the ICPS and continue on with the mission. So that one's fairly straightforward. It's a really good demonstration for us to get. Again, building blocks for future missions, we really would like to get that rendezvous, but if we, for any reason, have technical difficulties, it's a pretty straightforward call to be able to back out of that one. In terms of aborts throughout the mission, if we have an issue with the launcher, we've got the ability to either abort into the Atlantic or we can abort into the Pacific, which we would call an abort once around, because you get almost all the way around the planet. And so pre-launch, we'll be monitoring the weather in all of those locations so that we can best position ourselves to keep the crew in a good config if they ended up in one of those situations. Post-launch, we will spend the first day evaluating all of the critical systems on the spacecraft to decide whether we're go for TLI or not. If we decide we are not go for TLI, then we can start setting ourselves to come back from the high Earth orbit, which I don't really think of as an abort. That's more of an alternate mission, because we'll be very deliberate about that. That's not a situation that we'd need to rush. We would go figure out, is there anything else we need to do while we're in high Earth orbit, and then we'll head home. Once we hit TLI, from there you can abort to come home, but you get very rapidly to a point of diminishing returns where you're not going to shave that many days off the mission. After about 24, 36 hours after TLI, roughly, don't write that down, you really don't get a whole lot out of the abort, because it's not like you just turn around and come straight home. Nope. You're still on a trajectory that needs to make its way back to the Pacific. And so, and in almost every situation, when you're doing a risk trade, the risk of a highly dynamic burn versus a free return trajectory where we use the gravity of the moon and the Earth to get ourselves back for free, that's almost always you're going to err towards the free return trajectory, because it's a much less dynamic situation. So unless you're in a very time critical situation, you probably don't want to take the risk of the abort. Does that answer your question? Did I miss any of it? Okay.
Just to be precise, I mean, that you have abort coverage. Your fastest abort is around the moon rather than turning around and burning for home. That's important. But I mean, we could probably spend several days talking through every other system level contingency, but this is one of the things that we obsess about. So
TLI is the dangerous part, for sure.
Okay, we'll take another question. Back row right here.
Hi, excuse me. Sorry about that. Hi, everybody. Greg Palone, Spectrum News 13. Is the second a viable launch option? Is there enough turnaround time to be able to have the second? The 45th said in the forecast today it's a 48-hour turnaround. Do you guys see the second as a viable option if there is something does happen on the first?
Yes, I'll take that one. We have launch dates that are the 1st through the 6th. They're all available to us. When we added the 1.4 million gallon hydrogen sphere, that was the driver in Artemis I, the reason that we had to do a 48. So it is certainly available to us. Somewhere in those days, we set up for 4 launch attempts across that set of days. Somewhere in there, you do have to do a 48, though, because you have to go replenish locks.
Okay, let's go second to last row back here.
2 days into the mission.
Excuse me. Thank you. Carmen Fuentes, WHNT in Huntsville. So I know that currently the Wednesday weather conditions show 80% favorability, and I know you talked about all the systems and vehicles being good to go. Something NASA can't control is the weather. So if it stays at 80%, does that mean we'd still be go for launch? And at what point, if it were to drop below 80%, at what point would we consider maybe holding off to the next day?
But the balloons are hourly all the way up to the
number there with the 80% is we have a set of criteria. Some of them are standard range criteria relative to lightning and other things, and some are specific to our vehicle, like winds and that sort of thing. So our launch weather officer takes all of those criteria, and so when they give us a percentage, that 80% is that there's an 80% chance that we are going to be in acceptable criteria across all of them. But if we're in violation of any of them, then we're going to wait it out. I'll give you, and Mark Berger, who's our launch weather officer, he'll be here tomorrow, and he can certainly talk all the weather in detail, but I'll give you my opinion on the weather. So we have a 2-hour launch window. That's a wonderful thing, because when you look across the forecast, and I was looking at it just this morning, and you look at the winds, I think we're going to be okay from a wind perspective, and really what they're looking at for the most part is cumulus clouds. And so, I imagine that over the course, can't guarantee it, but over the course of a 2-hour window, weather can change and things can move around. And so, when I see an 80% chance of go, and a 2-hour window, I feel pretty good about our chances.
Yeah, weather
Okay, we'll take
weather
another
balloons are
question right
deployed
here.
every hour going up until the launch.
Manuel Masanti with Exploración Espacial. I was just listening to you, and my question was, well, everything seems to be so smoothly from rollout, flight readiness review, all the meetings you've had. So it seems like this is it. And if weather cooperates, my question is, what percentage can you say, okay, we are ready for April 1st?
100%.
I'm just going to make an appeal to the space gods. Okay, we don't taunt the machine, we don't taunt weather, we don't do any of those things.
See?
However, Charlie.
See? No bad vibes. What did I tell you? No bad vibes. See? Even them.
You know,
They're like,
we
hell
have
no.
over 500 launch commit criteria.
No bad
In addition
vibes,
to that, we
dudes.
have our weather
That's
criteria.
what I'm talking about.
We monitor them all the same, regardless of whether you've had a smooth pad flow, whether you've had, challenges. They're all the same. You're going to monitor that data and make sure that that hardware is ready to fly. And the same thing on the weather. So, we'll keep monitoring them all. It'd be nice if we didn't have a whole lot to talk about, but you know what? This is the thing that I love about this team is that when you have a problem, they run to go solve it. And I think, if something does come up that we don't expect or we do get a little hiccup along the way, we're just going to work our way through it like we always do. But right now, the hardware is performing well. The weather looks, I would love to look at this weather forecast and see a 95% chance it goes. But the weather looks like something that we can hopefully work our way through if we do end up with some clouds or a little bit of precip along the way. We'll just see what the next couple of days bring.
Okay, we'll take another question in the room right here.
Yeah.
Jonathan Seri with Fox News. Question about quarantine procedures as the astronauts visit their families. For the families, are the quarantine procedures identical or is it a little more lenient for them?
The quarantine rules are the same for everyone. It's just a question of whether they go into quarantine or not. And we have 3 different levels of three different levels you can be in. And so, like, for instance, because I'm here with you and I'm not wearing masks, if I were to need to go and talk to the crew, I would have a mask on. I would maintain 6 feet distance. These are all rules that we're now all very familiar with after our joint experience. And so generally immediate family members that are capable of it. So if you've got teenagers that are in school, they're not going to be able to go into the same level of quarantine that maybe little bitty kids would be able to. And so it'll be different for every family member. And then really how that just affects whether you're masked up, whether you're distant while you're with the crew member.
Okay, we have another one right here on the same row.
David Denault with About Space Today News. My question, you mentioned that the best way to return astronauts is to go around the moon trying anything else. Yesterday there was talking a little bit about the spacesuits that have a 6-day lifetime. What would trigger the astronauts to go into those spacesuits and survive? What would be the examples of what would cause that?
Clarify so as Emily said, we have basically continuous abort coverage through the mission that starts from when we light the det cords to when we basically are back in the water. At some point, so each mode, so like we said, we have ascent aborts that take us to different landing sites. We can abort to orbit, we can abort to lower orbital altitudes, and then contemplate that. We can do second revs of translunar injection orbits if we want to. So we do all those things. What I was pulling on earlier was after you commit to the moon, there are direct abort options where you can turn Orion around and fire the main engine and bring it home more quickly than if you were to proceed along free return. At some point, there's a knee in that curve, and it's faster to go around the moon than it is to turn around. Plus, it's safer because you have more confidence in the dispersion of the trajectory as opposed to doing a big burn when you're far away. So that's thing one. The 6-day thing you're mentioning, I believe, is we have in the program for a long time had a requirement It's not something we rely on, but it is a crew survivability augmentation we made to the vehicle that allows the crew to stay in their pressure suits for a long period of time, and that would typically be triggered by a loss of total cabin pressure.
Yep.
We do have some cases where you'd have, if you had atmosphere, if you had a combustion event or something like that on the vehicle, you want to take some time to clean it up, in which case we'd put the crew in that. And those suits, that provides essentially a closed loop, hermetically sealed way for the crew and their suits to be in communication with the raw commodity of the life support system, so they can scrub CO2, they can breathe down O2, but they don't have to be in communication with cabin atmosphere. We would use that if we needed to, but again, that's a pretty far out case in terms of the risks that we're accepting, but we do have that available if we need it.
Okay, we'll take a question on this side. Right here.
In other words, it's very unlikely for that to happen, but they have it just in case. Why not wear a spacesuit?
Goddard for the Times of London. So we know the vehicles are looking healthy, and we know the weather may cooperate, but the gremlin in the mix is often the tanking. And I wondered if you could take us through what your confidence level is that this time we may not see the hydrogen or the helium being that gremlin, what's been done to try to preempt that being the case again. Thank you.
Okay, you want to take that one?
Yeah, so relative to the check valve on the helium supply to the ICPS, the upper stage tanks, we've pounded that one flat. We found a design flaw in the check valve, and we worked with the supplier and the contractor to go fix it, and then the ground systems team here did extensive testing on the check valve in the environment like it sees at the launch pad. And so we've got a high level of confidence that we've got that one knocked dead. I know folks are worried. I think people in the general public worry about our hydrogen problem. Obviously, we worry about our hydrogen problem. But it really is just a hydrogen problem, given the fact that it's such a small molecule. But the team did a really good job of removing and replacing that seal at the pad. They don't have the fault tree totally closed out on that. But I think we're on a good path, and I think they're understanding of where we are relative to the quality of the seals, how long the seals can stay in that mated configuration without us having to worry about them. I think we're in really good shape for the QD on the helium side and for any LH2 leak. We had a leak on during the countdown last time. I guess it was on the lock side, on wet dress, on the lock side, and we didn't have an LCC for that because it's oxygen and it's mixing with the air. So we fixed that while we were back in the VAB as well. Charlie, you want to add something?
Yeah, I was just going to say on that ICPS helium QD, it's in work right now. We don't wait till launch to use it. I mean, we press those bottles that are on board the ICPS. We use them for RL10 conditioning and purge, and we also use them for pressurant as well. So we have those in work every day, so we don't envision that. And as John said, we worked really closely between the SLS and the EGS team. Feel like we got that design change that we made there with the seals has been well tested and has been performing well on board the ship. So, and the only thing I would add on the hydrogen is we had a great wet dress rehearsal relative to those seals. We changed them out at the pad, as you all know. Probably had the best performing seals and the lowest leak rate that I've ever seen as part of the Artemis campaign. Performed really well, and then when we rolled back, we provided some strain relief for the flex hoses that are in the tail service mast, just to make sure that there wasn't any kind of load that was imparted on that QD during the roll. Those have since been removed. It was never intended for them to be in place for launch, but it was just to provide a little bit of relief as you rolled.
That's all I needed to hear.
Take another question. Let's go to the back of the room.
Cool.
Hi, Andrea Leinfelder of the Houston Chronicle. The Artemis II crew doesn't like to talk about breaking the Apollo 13 record very much because they'll say that that's not very important to them. But I'm curious, what is the distance from Earth they will go if they launch April 1st? I know it changes by day. And is it important to any one of you? Are you guys secretly hoping to pass that record?
Nope.
So I happen to have the number for April 1st. The max distance from Earth is going to be 252,799 statute miles, which, yes, is a little over 4,000 miles farther than Apollo 13. I would say
400,000 kilometers.
At least for me personally, no.
Nope.
Who cares? You want every mission to keep exploring and keep learning new things, and getting farther from Earth than we've ever been before is a fun statistic, but there are a lot of other things we're going to learn on this mission that are going to be a lot more exciting for me, at least.
It's not important to me.
John don't care.
I told you guys a few weeks ago, my main thing is hitting that entry interface right down the middle and getting the crew in the Pacific Ocean safely. That's important to me, which means everything else worked great or okay, right?
Okay, we'll take another question here in the room at the front.
He's like, I don't care.
Aerospace America. And a follow-up on the seals. I mean, our readers, I think, might be interested in, like, what did you fix about the seals, and is that a permanent fix? Like, you believe that won't be, that those seals in particular won't leak anymore? And then, I mean, I know you can't predict that, but
John's
and then also those seals have been there since the rocket, since they were traded out on the pad. Do you know how long they can stay in there before they need to be switched out again?
Well, that's why I wouldn't really be in 100% with you, because we're still in the middle of those tests, right? So, you know, it's a Teflon seal. Teflon has a tendency to creep when it's under load. So you start putting two and two together, right? And say, okay, well, how long can it be? So we're in the middle of running those tests. We don't believe so far that we're going to have that issue given this short period of time. Because if you think back in the past, for Artemis I and even for Artemis II, on the first buildup of the configuration, we set for a pretty good while, 10 months, you know, in the VAB with it in that configuration. So you can go ride it if you want to, but I mean, we're still trying to get through that. That's why I'm kind of reserve the right till we close out the fault tree.
And we're learning more, right? I mean, same seals are used during Apollo, used during Shuttle, now during SLS, but the geometry of the seal has been slightly different. We've been riding more on the Teflon than we have metal on metal in the past applications. We've done, you know, bench level testing on creep rates, and we think that that's maybe not the dominant mode, you know, in terms of that cold flow of the Teflon away from the sealing interface. Time under compression is probably the contributor the most. So, but we have to get through all that data. I can tell you that by the time we do the third core stage, we're going to have this thing licked in terms of strain relief and different ways we can make sure we're not putting loads in the seals, because every time we do these things, we learn more about how they behave under cryogenic load as well as under compression. And so I think with the data we get here, as well as what we'll continue to do on the bench, that hopefully this is the last time we have to go through this. But again, like Honey, I'll be careful and reserve the right to be cautious.
Okay, we have time for a couple more in the room. We'll go right here.
That's a good question. I'm learning a lot here.
Yeah, just as a follow-up, I'm just kind of curious, did we ever figure out the window for splashdown, what the time we might look at a return?
Yes, for an April 1st launch, on April 10th, we'll be coming home in the evening Pacific time.
About what time?
Roughly the 5 p.m. time frame. It'll
like
kind of
Amit.
depend on actual
Amit's cool.
performance across the trajectory.
Okay, we'll take our next question, second to last row in the middle, right here.
Hi, thanks, Joey Roulette for Reuters. Anyone who wants to answer, is there a launch opportunity within the April 1st to 6 window that does not involve the crew going farther than Apollo 13? I know you guys aren't really tracking that milestone that much, but our readers are really interested in it. And then I had another quick question. Can you remind us what kind of the core objective or objectives for this mission are, such that not accomplishing them on this mission for any anomalous reason would either lead you to repeat it or tweak the parameters for Artemis III? Thanks.
So I can give you the first one. By April 4th, it's close enough that it's within the error of our trajectory planning tools. And so 4th, 5th, and 6th, it's all in the wash. You're not likely to exceed that Apollo number. And Amit, you want to talk about the
So
goals?
Joey, I know Honey wants to hit the EI, and that's right. That's his job. I will tell you that it is, to me, marking the milestones it's cool, right? It's a fun thing for people to realize that people haven't gone that far. I will tell you, we will not pick a burn plan or take any additional risks of the machine that makes sure that we hit that milestone. It'll just be a happy accident of physics that it turned out that way. If in terms of what the test objectives we've lined out, one of the instrumental kind of viewpoints of thinking about the campaign as an integrated set of test objectives, that it allows you to answer that question pretty crisply. So, the life support system, obviously, the check out what we get is a critical objective. If it turns out that we don't get the performance we need after the acceleration vibe, we will, we'll come home. We're not going to commit to the moon if we don't have the performance. For the docking mission, we will make changes, but we will probably commit at that point. I can't tell you. It'll depend on the nature of the failure. My only point is, the closer you are to home, the more risk you're willing to take on some of those systems as you do that. So, but that system is critical. The integrated performance of the launch abort system we're going to get as we go uphill, making sure those signals work the right way. The test of the machine and its environment, all the different test objectives we have during transit, making sure we can do that, navigation, et cetera. There's an integrated suite of objectives that I think we picked up a lot on Artemis 1 already. Recall, Artemis 1 actually inserted into lunar orbit and showed us a lot of those things, so it's not necessarily that critical. The heat shield itself, we want to learn and make sure that our modeling, we did so much modeling on the interaction between this version of the heat shield and its environment, even though we were being very careful about how we maintain the environmental control of that heat shield as we come in. We will still learn more about our modeling and make sure that, the fixes we made for Artemis 3. So any kind of entry that puts load on the heat shield in different ways will help us parameterize the kind of integrated aerothermal and material environment that we're witnessing. And so there's a lot that we are going to learn on the flight, but I couldn't tell you today that if we didn't get a particular objective, that means we'd have to do free return again.
All right, that's all the time we have for today. Our final mission status update will come tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern, so we look forward to seeing you then. In the meantime, you can always stay up to date on all the latest mission and news at nasa.gov. Thanks for joining.
Hey, how we feeling about that? I'm so guys, big thing. They put hangers on the tail service mast umbilical. They put a hanger on them when they were rolling the vehicle out. That's hey, Red Munchkin, thanks for the raid, dude. That's very, very telling there. Yeah. Why didn't they do that before? They didn't know. You're not going to know if rollout is what's damaging the seal until you do it a couple of times, right? Like, that's very interesting. Very, very interesting. Are you going to stream all the way to launch? Actually, Lava, it's still tentative here. Let me get the schedule up. Hold on. Give it a second. It takes a second to load. So yeah, we're gonna have to change all this. So on April 1st, I'm probably just going to be here the whole day. So I did sign up for Countdown to Launch. So for NSF. I don't think I'm on their main launch cast, but that's okay. I'd rather do it here with you guys anyway. Strain relief is important for cables and hoses, especially when there are connections involved. Yeah, exactly.
Discovery,
Yeah, they have straight. They basically hung the umbilical. They hung the umbilical tubes so they're not hanging off the side of the TSMU. Bob, I'd be willing to bet that at like a micron level, that is what was causing that rollout, coupled with the hanging TSMU. That's probably it. Yeah, that's probably what's doing it. What silly game would you have played if the launch wasn't happening? Oh, I don't know. Dumb question. Why even bother with the lunar flyby? Just to prove the platform? Why waste so much resources to not land? I guess we also don't have a really reason to land. I bet you, Jaeger, if NASA had a lander right now, that they'd probably try, or at least get close. Why do it? You have a big rocket. Why not? You had a similar problem yesterday with GN2 seals on your university's rocket test stand during transport. Yeah. No mental stone unturned. You're not going to know how that whole TSMU works, but gas prices. It's not using gasoline. It's using hydrogen, man. It doesn't use gasoline. No Carolox in this design, dude. Oh, neat. I'll check it out. Wow, I remember watching this guy when Jim Bridenstine was administrator. Yep, still here. Daxon, still here. Hi. I've been streaming since December 23rd, 2012. I have no intentions of stopping. Olge. Hey, you shut your mouth, man. Heard on the Today Show this morning that NBC is doing a special launch, a launch special starting at 6 p.m. on Wednesday. That's what I mean, DH. You know, everybody is all up in arms about people not, being involved with this launch. After I said this, I actually said this a little bit earlier today when we were playing KSP. Guys, I've seen couple of influencers come out and be like, there's no press coverage of Artemis II. This is ridiculous. People don't know that we're going back to the moon. Dude. All right. And once again, I'll say this on the Space News VOD. It is March 30th, 2026. This is 2 days before launch. People, you're not going to realize how much of an impact that this mission has until it's done. Until it's finished. I guarantee you that you yourself, if you're watching this before the launch, if not, if you're referring to this VOD for continuity, hopefully I was right. Hopefully, you're not gonna know how this feels until you see it. Me, I'm using the shuttle as my reference here. Now, this mission is a little bit crazier than a shuttle mission, that's for sure. But every shuttle mission felt like this. It felt like this. This was the same vibe. Your Facebook feed is full of local stories on Artemis II. Thank you for the anecdote. Well, that's good to know. I think what you said earlier was best. Yes, this is a mission that only history is going to be able to judge. Yep. And that is exactly what Gene Kranz told the press before Apollo missions. History is going to be the one to judge whether this mission was a success, turning point, failure, hopefully not. It's really, really funny to me that Amit and John and Charlie all believe in the space gods and no bad vibes before a mission. That's hilarious because that's absolutely a thing. Yeah, absolutely a thing. History will be the judge here. You're not, and I do believe that this will have a profound impact on a lot of people. just like the 1960s were a politically tumultuous time, we once again find ourselves in a weird spot. But we will rise to, because that's how we roll. You know, I think this will have a profound impact on people that people aren't, that people don't really understand. You're not going to understand it until it happens. And hopefully it's a good one. As for me, I ain't going to be happy until Jeremy, Reed, Christina, and Victor get out of that capsule on... I ain't going to be happy until... right there. 8:06 p.m. on Friday, April 10th. I'm not going to be happy until that milestone right there. Because that's splashdown. That's when I'll be happy. It was linked to me, Dean, so I in chat, so I assume this is right. I don't know where this doc came from, but it is right. I definitely looked. I don't know who made it, but whoever did, good for them. Someone should ask if there's a telephone on the pad so the crew can call someone. Most likely, yes. Be happy when on a ship. Capsules have sunk before. I highly doubt that the unsinkable Molly Brown is going to happen again. But, yeah. Either way, they're going to... there's going to be a Navy ship with a well deck in the immediate area. I'll read a book. So I guess once they're inside of the well deck, I'm good. So I suppose crew, if we want to go, we want to be very, very technical about this. 9:35 p.m. Eastern on April 10th is when I'm going to be happy. Do we know what ship is going to be out there? I think it's an LPD. Manfu, but I'm not sure. Honestly, I'm not really worried about crew egress operations. That's something the Navy has practiced a lot. But, you know, the second I say that I'm not worried about it, something screwy will happen. So, yeah. Once they're out back on Terra, or at least on the ship, then I'll be happy. When does this Artemis mission launch? Clea, this mission is scheduled to go off at 6:24 p.m. Eastern Time on April 1st. No, that's not a joke. It's not a joke. 6:24 p.m. Eastern. So 2 days from now. Actually, about where mission time is 2 days, 0 hours, 14 minutes. Right now. Liberty Bale 7 was the capsule this time. Yeah, you know what I meant though, Napsmore, so. It's interesting how you understood what I meant and then immediately provided those fun facts. I know, dude. I know. I was trying to be funny, but it didn't really ring true, I guess. So, Trey, you're saying the ship is LPD-26. So that's the John Murtha, the USS John Murtha. That is a, yeah, the LPDs are, LPDs are kind of, it's a ship that's used for carrying around Marine expeditionary units and stuff. So it's like half aircraft carrier, half transport ship. it's really specialized for amphibious assault contingencies, I guess, for the Navy. Long story short, this thing usually would carry around a bunch of Marines in it, and Marines being a division or department of the Navy that is specialized in amphibious assault and ship-to-ship operations. That's traditionally like what Marines do. I mean, originally Marines were the guys that were swinging across the sails, going to the other ship and hitting somebody in the face with a flintlock musket, like at like point blank. They're designed to board other ships. I mean, they still can do that, but nowadays they're kind of really for like amphibious assault. So a lot of their ships, like an AAV, for instance, an AAV can float. It's an amphibious vehicle. Landing transport dock. Yeah, these things have see, like the front of it is like a transport vessel, and then there's a hangar amidships, and then the back of it is like an aircraft carrier, or a helicopter carrier would be the technical term. So these things have well decks in the background, in the background. At the aft end of the ship, they have a well deck. And that well deck they're going to pull Orion into that. Yeah. These things are capable of simultaneous operations. You can land and you can launch. They have two pads. There's 2 helipads, quote unquote, on this thing. These things can carry SH-60s. They can carry MV-22s. Yeah. Anything that you need that's a rotor wing craft or hybrid rotor wing craft in the speaking of the MV-22. Yeah, there's a whole hangar right here. That's what this is. And then the lower decks of the ship are quite actually just full of marine assault vehicles. Yeah, here. There's a good render. They are also, the well deck is also capable of supporting 2 LCACs, so LCACs for short. That's a landing cushion. Landing craft air cushion is what that stands for. They're hovercraft. If you ever wonder, if you've ever seen like Saving Private Ryan, you know, at the beginning of Saving Private Ryan, they have D-Day, and the boat goes up and the platform falls down and the guys run out of it. Or, well, in Saving Private Ryan, they don't get very far, but that's what happens when you have no tank support. Because they all sank. But that's another story. That is the modern day equivalent of that, the LCAC. The cool thing about the LCAC is that it doesn't need to stop where the water stops and where the terrain begins. It can just keep going. It can get up onto a beachhead. LCACs can carry tanks, Humvees, whatever. And then in the LPD design, like if you look, so there's hangars up there, right? There's a hangar up there that has a bunch of MV-22s or SH-60s in it. But if you look down here into the bowels of the ship, you're carrying Humvees, AAVs. This is a render, and I don't know what the hell that thing is. Maybe that's supposed to be an AAV. Those are 5-ton trucks. You carry everything that you need to do a beach assault. That's what these things are here for. Yeah, they could carry an Abrams. Not that the Marines use Abrams anymore. They actually gave all of their tanks. The Marines gave all their tanks back to the Army a couple years ago. Marines do not operate Abrams except in the reserve capacity, if I'm remembering correctly. But yeah, that's the kind of ship. So like, that's the kind of ship that they're going to get into. So what they'll do is they'll float the Orion into here. And they'll recover it from there. Now, the other thing to take into account is that Orion, so Book, Knapsmore, you guys know your history, right? Like the Orion capsule has, very similar to the Apollo capsule, has the flotation devices up on the top of the vehicle to make sure that that it won't tip over. Orion does float, but in case it kind of tries to flip over, there are inflatables. They're big orange balls at the top of the spacecraft. So if it's in like rough water for whatever reason, the thing won't flip because it'll try to flip over and then the inflatable ball will push it back. So it has that too. So it's very unlikely that thing's going to, that anything weird would happen. But, you know, you never know.
Discovery, go at throttle up.
They're an ACV. Man, that's just a striker with extra steps. But, you know, can't call it the same thing as the Army. Hellbore, 121 month 3 sub. They also have a full medical center, if I'm remembering correctly. Yeah, guys, these LPDs are really just an entire battalion, like, of Marines. This can hold an entire Marine expeditionary unit by itself. Yeah, the LPDs are pretty cool. It's a pretty cool vessel. It's entirely purpose-built. So, like, it's half helicopter carrier, half troop transport, you know, half armored transport. Like, you can load one of these up and have an entire Marine expeditionary unit or a Marine battalion assault a beach. Now, we're not using it for that. We're just going to get the Orion and coming back. Go Navy. There you go, Galactic. Yep. And then there's this. Yeah, that's... Yeah, here. Thanks, Mutter. Thank you for getting the pictures. So check it out. There's these flotation devices up here to make sure the capsule doesn't tip over. Just in case anybody was wondering, because you did the last place you want to be is stuck in a spaceship floating in water. The second to last place, actually, that's the second to last place. The last place you really want to be is stuck in a spacecraft floating in the water upside down. Yeah, you don't. That doesn't sound like a lot of fun. Yeah, they're space balls. Yes. Oh shoot! There goes the planet. Artemis I recovery from the U.S. Navy. Yeah, baby. I probably can't play the music. They're gonna get mad. YouTube will get mad if we play the music. But yeah, there you go. That is the Artemis I capsule. So that thing is that's the real deal. That one flew to space. These are the recovery operations. That is the capsule that flew out to the moon and back. After, like, this is right after it landed. We watched NASA live stream this. Now, they do have a fixture in the well deck. They do have a fixture in the well deck of the LPD to be able to hold the capsule into position. Oh, yeah, that's the other thing I forgot to say. You can drain the well deck despite it being below the draft of the ship. So basically, there's doors on the back of the well deck. They can close it and they can drain it. Yeah, I forgot to mention that. Of course it can do that. Why wouldn't it? Went to the moon, still hauled in by hand. Yeah. Yeah, okay, so they're in the ribs right there, which is a rigid inflatable boat. Rigid hull inflatable boat. Yeah, there she is. Now, guys, I'm not 100% sure if the crew is going to egress out of the capsule. I'm not sure they're going to... I don't know if they're going to egress out of the capsule before recovery. I'd have to go look. Yeah, one of the balls deflated. Huh. Yeah, Zodiac. There you go, Dave Marino. Yeah. They'll probably do what they do with Dragon. That would be my guess, Spoiled. That seems like a much safer thing to do. Probably better to just keep the capsule door shut when this thing is out in open water. If you're coming back from the moon, I have to take a huge piss. There's a toilet on board, man. It's part of the reason why Orion's so heavy. It's got a damn toilet. Just saying. Yeah, this is a pretty crazy mission. So, like, I'm tentatively trying to put my schedule together here. Guys, I'm going to be... Yeah, I'm going to do that whole day. We're doing that whole day. I'll probably start at around noontime. And we'll go... I mean, I don't know. I could be in an SLS tanking. You sign up for any NSF time. Yeah, it remains to be seen what I'm doing. Hold on. Crews plan to be helicoptered off before Orion is pulled onto the ship. Yeah. This is for Wednesday. Yep. Didn't one of the Mercury capsules sink? Yeah, Liberty Bell 7. Yeah. A short in the electrical system blew the pyros on the emergency escape hatch, which is just the regular hatch, just with an explosive attached to it. I actually forgot to tell you we have a birthday party that day.
Go at throttle up.
Which day, Bree? Which day? Because, yeah, that's... That's, going to complicate things if this launches. I think it's the weekend, right? That's unfortunate for that person. They should pick a new birthday. I'll send a card. Tell him happy birthday ahead of time. It's my 1-year-old nephew, dudes. It's my freaking 1-year-old nephew. Yeah, he won't remember it. Oh, perfect. He won't remember. Yeah. No, that's great. Sorry, Uncle's got to work. Actually, it's scheduled to launch on his birthday. Right now, it's scheduled to launch on his birthday. Yeah, his birthday's the 1st, which is pretty cool. Bring nephew to stream. Have I seen Hail Mary? I saw Hail Mary about a week and a half ago, Jaeger. It's one of the best sci-fi's. It's one of the best sci-fi movies I think I've ever watched. No spoilers, though. No spoilers. Don't say nothing. I liked it better than Interstellar. I can't say why, though, Jaeger. I liked it better. Have you read the book? I'm reading through the book right now, dude. You were messing with me. Oh, okay. Yeah. Guys, I'm going to be here for the duration. I'm thinking sleep when they sleep. That's probably... Or, yeah. Yeah. Basically sleep when they sleep. I mean, I could try to keep the stream live, but I don't know if the NASA channel will switch. I don't know if the NASA stream will switch channels, but I think it'd be better to split it up. Oh, there you go, 1062. Didn't know, but Orion has an emergency raft that crew could survive for 24 hours if needed. Yes. Are we going to get live views from the capsule? Connection permitting, yes. Yeah, I'm basically... Actually, I should probably... Should probably get some provisions out in the shop. Yeah. Should probably get some provisions out here. That's probably what I'll do tomorrow before the stream. I'm gonna need a cot. I have a couch out here, dude. I have a couch in the shop. It's actually right below the high cam in the shop. No, not those type of provisions. I'm gonna need to get food. Dedicated hot dog roller. Good idea. NASA's supposed to stay live the entire time. NASA Plus is only going to have occasional coverage. Yeah. Liquid provisions. Yeah. I'm going to have to go shopping tomorrow. Get everything ready. Because, yeah, guys, I'm not missing this. I'm going to do as much of this as I possibly can. I'm going to get... No, I'm going to get my Knob Creek out, Advana. Knob Creek and a cigar for that. So you're going to do that whole living in the garage thing. I mean, that'd be kind of fun. That'd be kind of fun to make a whole marathon stream out of it, dudes. But to be 100% honest with you, like, I'm not prepared for this. I'm not prepared. Like, I'd have to spend a good amount of time tomorrow preparing to do this if we're gonna do it. The only thing I would do is just go down to the house to use the toilet. Yeah. What about the space beer in the back of the fridge? We drink that after touchdown. Yeah. No, Dino, I'll do end stream now and go prep. I got tomorrow morning, and if I start a little bit later tomorrow morning, so be it. What are you preparing? You're always preparing. Just go. Yeah, guys, I'm going to be here for the duration. I'm not missing a second of this. I've been dreaming about this mission for a long time. Long time. Can you fit a cot and a sleeping bag in the Dodge? Actually, yeah, probably, Jeff. If I cleaned it out, I could put the bench seats back in and we could just sleep on those. EJ is excited statement. Dirty. Why shop so messy? Question. Don't say nothing. Where I'm not saying what that reference is to. Nothing. I said don't say that, Dama, you donkey. And man, you can hear Brimo sighing from California. I mean this with all due respect. And Brimo understands this, I'm pretty sure. Bree, do you understand that this is a lunar mission? I am not missing a second of this. I am not. By the end of this mission, I am going to be sacked out, and I probably need to take. I'm probably going to need to take a couple of days to recoup. I am not missing any of this. You don't understand. This is a lunar mission. I've been dreaming about humans going back to the moon since I was old enough to rationalize this concept. Do not say 5 years ago, I will slap you. Maybe like 5 years old. Maybe. Bree, you expect nothing less. Yep. So, yeah, guys, I'm probably going to be a little bit late to the stream tomorrow because I am going to be prepping. We're going to be prep. I'm going to prep to basically stay out in the shop as long as I need to. No poo buckets. I'm just that we could just use the bathroom. Crow, you watched the first moon landing and the stream was rough. With new tech this time, it should be awesome. I mean, it was pretty damn good. Dude, I was reading about... Well, not reading. I was watching a YouTube video about how the Apollo CSM, their communication systems work. And they had frequency modulation over phased modulation to allow them to transmit multiple data streams through one frequency, which is... Who in the ball sack thought of that? Whoever thought of that is way smarter than me. Like, but also, hey man, a VHF signal in 69 from the surface of the moon is pretty damn impressive. It's pretty good. That's pretty good. It's pretty smart, man. I can't believe that. Guys, the Apollo CSM. So I did a little bit more reading. Frequency modulation with phased on top of phase modulation is basically how Wi-Fi works. Yeah, that's Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. That's how those work. Like, I haven't traced it back enough to know if Apollo was the first one to do that, and that is the reason why we have Wi-Fi, but I'm noticing a pattern here, you know? Starlink, yeah. Starlink, yeah, exactly, dude. Fourier transmissions and such. Zero radio communications might as well be, like people that do that might as well be a wizard. And to think like there's high frequency signals beaming in and out of your cell phone daily, like it's no big deal. Like, all right, sure. Freaking, are you a wizard? You know, like. I believe Orion return and New Glenn 3 are on the same day. Oh, really? Oh, yeah. Yeah, they got the Bluebird payload. It's literally black magic. Like, how can you... Like, I can understand... My brain can understand, like, if you could send, like, Morse code. Like, like one tone through a frequency. Sending, like, a gigabit of data through... a frequency, how does that even, like, I know it's a thing, like, and I'm not trying to suggest like, oh, it's some crazy thing. No, like the technology behind it is so freaking cool, dude. Starlink omnidirectional. Starlink uses so Starlink has a bunch of tiny little antennas in it. They're in an array, like a matrice. That's why it's called the phased array. And what that phased array does is they modulate the power going between all these different antennas, and modulating power between the antennas can get you a different theta for your broadcast angle. So Starlink is just flat. It's just a flat antenna, but it can actually see 180 degrees. That's what makes that so damn cool. Yeah, it's called a phased array. Phased array is yeah, the people smarter than us figured that out. Yeah, the GIF off the wiki is actually a really, really useful thing. Yeah. Look, so they're modulating, they modulate power between all the small antennas to get what's called a master theta. So that's the direction of broadcast. And you can alter the modulation like that. So a phased array can see 180 degrees despite being flat. Somebody thought of this, by the way. Somebody thought of that, and whoever thought of that, like I said, is a really, really smart person. Their brain has many wrinkles. You can also have multiple independent beams using a phased array. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You could direct the beam without any mechanical stuff. Yeah, because like a parabolic antenna, guys, is a dish. You have your transmitter. The transmitter's pointing at the dish, right? And the transmitter's going to radiate out, and the parabolic dish basically set... Deluge test? The parabolic antenna basically changes it to a convergence, and then you can modulate power to get a different convergence angle, which is still like, all right, that's pretty smart. Phased array is insane. Like, somebody's just like, oh, just put a bunch of small antennas next to each other to make a bigger antenna. It's like, oh. Yeah, no, that's smart. Hey, Yarg. Thinking about it is the easy part. Actually making it is the impressive part. I always said engineering is easy to understand, but hard to do, Talik. So yeah, absolutely. You can push a petabyte of data using just light. Yeah, that's just, all right. So yeah, guys, I got to formulate a schedule here with how this is going to work. I'm for the most part just going to sleep when the astronauts sleep. Yeah. and I'll be up throughout most of the day here. I'm maybe take breaks in between like periods here, but as long as we have a live streaming view from that damn thing, from the Orion, I'm gonna be here. So after Apollo, what happened? What do you mean, Harmless? Like why haven't we gone back to the moon since? Yes, Yarg, they're still on track. We just watched the press conference. Have fun with the split shift there running for the perigee rays. Yeah. Harmless, we haven't been back because we haven't wanted to go back. Let me put it that way. Really hope we have live cameras or feeds. Did the shuttle use a similar communication system? Yes, it did. The shuttle had an antenna that it could deploy out of its payload bay for high-frequency communications. If the payload bay is closed, it could only use short band. The short band antenna is up on the... I'm pointing at the top of my head, like that's the... It's... There's 2 windows on the top of the space shuttle's flight deck. The antenna is there. That's where the short band antenna is. It's up there. If my face is a shuttle, this is the flight deck. It's up there. It's on its noggin. Yeah, so for higher frequency communications, it was they deployed the antenna. I can show you. Here you go. Boop. See that thing right there? There you go. The short band antennas are right here. They're right, like I said, they're right on the forehead of the shuttle. After Apollo, we got smartphones, and that's it. Yeah, Harmless, if that doesn't piss you off, yeah. I don't know what to tell you, man. Yeah, we went to the moon, and we have crazy computing power in the palm of our hand. We can't go back to the frigging moon. Yeah, it's bullcrap. We haven't gone because we haven't decided we want to. No president has challenged NASA to do crazy stuff since Kennedy. That's the honest truth. And we let NASA's mission get caught up in the static, which is frankly unacceptable. Yeah, to be, if I'm just going to say it, I'm just going to call it like it is. That's unacceptable. Yeah, it's pretty lame. And not to like denigrate like what the shuttle program did, but this has been not a waste of time, but there's been no direction. The shuttle is a great idea, but there's been no direction. We didn't do anything with it. We had this thing that could build spacecraft in space, and we didn't do anything with it. We just kind of just sat here and just were like, yeah, this is cool. And then they're like, oh, maybe we should build a space station with it. And then we did. And by the time we figured that out, the freaking program went away, which is dumb. Yeah, dumb. Yeah. Is this all done work, or will Tidris do some work? Tidris will do work when it's inside of Tidris's orbit, sure. What time does the launch window open? 6:24 p.m. So that would be 3:24 p.m. for you, Yarg. Will it be a daylight launch? Yes. Yes, it will. Got a new place for your streaming setup. Huh. Somebody wants $200 for this? Guys, call me crazy, but those look like underwater training modules. Meaning there's really nothing inside. It does not include transportation, no. Yeah, that's cool, but I'm good. I don't need that. Time for a new shed. Stream from inside there. Honestly, that'd probably fit in the shop. I could fit an ISS module in my garage, sure. Ceiling is tall enough, the door is tall enough. Actually, hang on. You know what? Let me see if we could. Let me measure the door. Let me make sure it's wide enough. We're 12.5 feet. Put it outside as an extension. It's aluminum. I'm not doing that. So if that's an ISS training module, my garage door is about 4 meters. It's 12 feet and change. If it's an ISS module, the shuttle's payload bay is 5. So, yeah, we're too short. Tape measure's always hiding some strange corner. Mine was in the passenger seat of the Coronet. Whatever. That's quitter talk. Yeah, I'm not doing that. But anyway, put it outside and put a tent over it. What tent? The one that blew away. Dude, I spent the whole weekend restaking that stupid thing. An Elon tent. Yeah. I'm going to become an Artemis truther. Apollo was real, but Artemis wasn't. We need a fake birthday present to ourselves or something. I know you're kidding, Zach, and I still lost respect for you a little bit. just a little bit. Believe these are them. We have to go look. So annoying, Mutter. I can't copy the, Takes me a second to copy the text because Twitch is trying to see the mod commands of me pinning the comment or reply. It's like, oh, click to reply. I'm like, I don't want to reply. I want to just copy the link info. All right, let's take a look. Yeah, those are them, dude. Yeah, nah. Yeah, nah, they ain't fitting. That's not happening. That's at the U.S. Space and Rocket Center, though. They got some S1C parts over here. And then there's MLAS right there, which is... All right, that flew. A Skylab docking ring right there. There's all kinds of good stuff in here if you go looking. B-1A cockpit. See it back there? It's just chilling. Even Krispy Kreme getting in on the action. Yeah, but Krispy Kreme is dumb, so it's all right. I don't care. So they have the Skylab, a Skylab mock-up that was used for underwater training. The fun thing is that that's a real Saturn V third stage. That's a real one. They converted it for the Skylab missions. That's a real S4B with a serial number. They just took the motor off. They got all kinds of good stuff at Space and Rocket Center. They got Chinook, Atlas missile, Huey. There's a mock-up Saturn V that's vertical and I believe that's a real Saturn 1B, but I'm not sure. And then there's a real Saturn V in there. And then all the way over here, Pathfinder. Those are real SRBs in an external tank. Those are ASRBs. Prototype advanced SRBs that they were going to roll out before Challenger. Or no, I think it was after Challenger, ASRB. And then that's a mock-up. I think that's a mock-up external tank. And then Pathfinder, the shuttle's fitment testing article is right there. It's being refurbed right now, which is pretty cool. You're a real Saturn V. Okay. This is the U.S. Space and Rocket Center is just north of Huntsville. Marshall Space Flight Center at Huntsville. It's down here. Inside of these buildings over here, for the first Saturn V's were made. The first Saturn V core stage was made. I believe it's that high bay. I say Saturn V core stage like that's a thing, but I never noticed those. Huh. Have those always been there? Probably. There's over here, there's test stand 4670, where the first time they fired 5 F1 engines in synchronous right there. Blue Origin uses that for BE4 testing now, which is pretty cool. These are that's the Centaur 5 static test stand right there for anybody that cares. Yeah, and Huntsville just has a bunch of stuff, a bunch of propellant tanks and stuff just sitting in dirt roads and stuff. And then there's the Saturn V, that's the Saturn V dynamic test facility. They scrapped that. That building got knocked down. There's a bunch of rocket test stands over here, and then that's the original Saturn I test stand. They blew that up too. and then scrapped the original Saturn I test article, which is dumb. It was structurally compromised. Yeah, I know. Probably, it's almost like we probably shouldn't have left it there. Probably should have used it for like other things. Yeah, that's the original Saturn I test stand. That was the first time, that was the first place they ever static fired a Saturn I. Its test article was sitting next to it for the longest time. And then they scrapped it. Because they're idiots. He's an idiot. Comes from upbringing. Parents are probably idiots too. Who the hell is John F. Kennedy? Yep. Even the one that's at the... There was a Saturn I that was at the border of... that was on the highway near Huntsville, Edmana. It was a real one. Nobody maintained it. And when they tried to pick it up to maintain it, it fell over. Not ideal, but, you know, whatever. I-65 heading north near Ardmore. I think they're bringing it back. Yeah, Zach, I didn't figure this out until later. I covered that for Space News, dude. I thought they were just scrapping it. No, they weren't scrapping it. What they were doing is trying to take it apart to fix it, and ended up dropping it because it was so structurally compromised. Yeah. That blows a lot. Maybe they'll still try to fix it, but yeah. So, yeah, guys, we got a lot of... Dude, honestly, like, I'm thinking about, like, the day here. Looks like SpaceX has opened a new office in Westminster, Maryland, related to Starship COPVs. 4 jobs went up today. Quality inspector in Westminster, Maryland, on site, COPV engineering. Huh. Interesting. Yeah, guys, you know what's crazy? So check this out. It's quite possible over the next couple of days that we're going to... Well, there was a Falcon that launched. There was a Falcon on the pad today, right? Check this out. There's an Atlas sitting on Slick 41 right now. And if you look, you can't see it. It's behind the fixed service structure. SLS is sitting out there. So... This morning, there was an Atlas, a Falcon, and an SLS sitting on their launch pad. Atlas also scrubbed because of the weather. Yep. Yeah, that was supposed to go over the weekend. It didn't. Yeah, that Atlas launch is scheduled to go next Saturday, Lee. It's quite possible here that we will have, at some point, an SLS, a Falcon, an Atlas, and a New Glenn sitting on the pad, you know, if the timelines converge. I said it before, I'll say it again, deferred maintenance is a death sentence. Yeah, I'm, yeah, I'm not, yeah, I have thoughts, but it's not, we can just be quiet. Mutter, what else are you linking me here? Seems to be in pretty decent condition. .68. Oh, it's got a Triton V10 in it. Oh. Oh. Just got back from the dentist. You're going away for the night? No. So Fluffy, where I'm at is I have kind of a tentative copy of the Artemis schedule. And I'll be honest, this snuck up on me. I don't know why I wouldn't have expected anything less, but I'm going to try to stream as much of this as I humanly can. You're going to get as much Artemis coverage here as much as humanly possible. I am going to try my best to be here from launch all the way to, well, a little bit before launch, all the way to splashdown. So my idea is to sleep when the crew sleeps. But if we're really going to do this right, in case something goes janky, in case something goes janky, I don't want to be far from the computer. So Fluffy, I need to plan this sucker. We got to plan it out. Super hyped for the launch. You're a bit nervous. I'll be watching here as much as you can. Well, I'll be here. Build and test reusable hypersonic vehicle. Aqualax, huh? We were talking about you camping in the garage a couple of weeks back. I'm really going to have to, dude. Yeah. You got a cot or a couch up here? I have a couch, Taylor. Yeah, I can sleep out here. Yeah, I got to stock the fridge. I got to get propane. Just in case it gets cold. I don't think it's going to get cold this week, but if I'm going to sleep here, it'd be good to heat it up before I do that. I have a bunch of stuff. There's a bunch of car parts sitting on my couch. Shouldn't we get caught up on space news? No, we shouldn't, because I'm Creeper. I have literally just said multiple times while you've been here that I'm planning on streaming basically for the next week straight. I think that warrants a little bit more attention, dude. I'll send you my Buc-ee's 5-gallon bucket for the cause. No, I don't want it back. You don't need to do that. I will just, you go down to my house for the restroom. I just don't want you to get too far behind. Yeah, I'm gonna need to stock up, dude. I'm gonna have to send you a book on how to use the bathroom in the woods. I don't need to know. I know how to use the bathroom in the woods. The thing is that there's a bathroom like right over there. Like I could just go to the bathroom. It's not like I don't have a toilet. It's not Outdoor Boys, guys. Like I am stuck in my garage for the next 10 days. An Uo shed. That's what everybody said when I first proposed this idea. New Glen full stack hot fire possibly on the 7th. Yep. Yeah, because I mean, Creeper, we'll do this news now so I can show here, right here. You guys, I'm probably set no expectations, just on a side note, set no expectations for the stream tomorrow. I might have to prep. I might have to spend the day just making sure that everything is good. Especially if I'm going to try to cram all the preparations into one day. I'm talking a full marathon stream. I'm not missing this. I'm not missing any of the Artemis missions. The hell with that. Like I said, we're going back to the moon. I get it. It's just a flyby. That doesn't matter. Squeak, wish me luck on the 4 for this week. I just saw Falcon 9 from the visitor center and will be in Titusville through the weekend. Good luck. Yeah, that's GS2 right there. That second Glen Stage 2 is on the static fire test stand. Their second stage static fire test stand. There's another one over there. And then Never Tell Me the Odds has another stage attached to it. New Glen 3 update targeting the launch on the of AST Space Mobile Bluebird 7 satellite no earlier than Friday, April 10th. That is when they land if they launch on the 1st. Oh, crap. Yeah. Oh, my goodness. I'm thinking too much about how the heck I'm going to do this. It's 9 days, 1 hour away, not 10. NASA said they round up, so why don't... Emily said they round up, so why don't you shut up? Boom. I love how the guy's like, it's actually closer to 9 days. And she's like, yeah, no, it's not, because it's our mission. Shut up. 30-minute power naps work wonders. I've done them in some wild places. Yeah, Taylor.
Listen, Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed.
Snack fund.
Taylor, yeah. This is definitely a sleep when you get the chance scenario. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. I took a vacation for Artemis, and hours after the return, I have to get to Austria for your skiing trip. Oh no, poor you. White monsters is what you crave. Nah, we'll do it all with coffee, rocket science. That's how they did it in Mission Control in the 60s. We're doing it with coffee. Don't worry. I have a coffee machine right here. Already got that one figured out when Biohazard figured out, when one of my viewers that I'm good friends with figured out that I needed a coffee machine, and one showed up at my doorstep. You're nearly 40. This is going to suck. No, I'll do it. I'll do it. We'll do it right. It ain't the age, Edmana. It's the mileage. All right? And your boy is pretty low mileage because I just sit here all day. Pretty low mileage, dude. We're good. I stay away from coffee and energy drinks. Ain't for you. That's probably for the better. Caffeine is a notoriously addictive substance. Yeah, that's probably a good idea, homie. I fell asleep at my computer desk for 4 hours last night, then watched Invincible until the sun rose up. Nice. Be careful, you might get a second load of tools. I don't need a second load of tools. Brother, I literally got every tool under the sun. The only tools that I'm really missing at this point, Geeson, are a lift. And Chad has already given money for a lift. Or a hoist is what you guys would call it. Yeah, I just got to wait for the taxes to clear. Again. Are we going to cook in the garage too? I have a microwave and an air fryer out here, oh hydrogen, yes. Yeah. Got a microwave and an air fryer, dude. I'm going to have to clean up my whole kitchenette, dude, if we're going to use it. I have a kitchenette and I have a couch and a bunch of, yeah, like you could live out here. You live out here, we would need a porta potty or just go poop in the woods, you know, whatever. I got the same chair you're in, and I've definitely napped in it a few times on accident. Dude, the Secret Lab is a nice chair. Who's writing all the stuff that he needs down? Making a mental note. Don't you have a house that's close? Yeah. Well, Swillfish, the idea is that I want to be close during all phases of the mission. I basically want to, I want to stay close. So, so in case something goes weird, like if there's a sleeping period, right? And something happens, you know. Man, now I got to, I got to clean up the shop. Huh. Move the stream into the house? No, I'm not doing that. Did you tell Bremo? Bremo knows. Yeah, we're going to do it, dudes. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do it, and it's going to kick the snot out of me. I'm probably going to need to take some time off when we're done. I'm going to, you know, if this thing launches on April 11th, you know, when that stream is done, EJ's going to pay for it. But that's April 11th EJ's problem, not March 30th EJ's problem. So, yeah, I moved the house into the shop. Well, that's why I need to make some plans here. You'll send the Nat Geo to my garage. Nice. Future EJ will be a better man. Yep. So you're saying you need a guest house built into the garage attached? No, that's not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying I have enough out here to basically camp in my garage for the entire duration of the stream. Yeah, I can have my mods ping me, Taylor, if something goes weird. Because I have enough mods around the world, they'll always be able to ping me. Are you not doing anything with NSF? Brandon, I signed up for it, dude. They haven't really assigned stuff yet, which is weird. Oh. Mutter, I did get your tip, but yeah, snack fund. Okay. Shop cleaning stream. I'd rather do it. Well, Bill, if I had thought about this a little bit more to give myself more time, I probably would have I probably would have cleaned up all the shop, but since it's something that needs to get done fast, I'm just going to do it off stream, I think. You'll need a few days reset after this, for sure, Taylor. I mean, look at this. These schedules are... These are some pretty hefty operations here. So, on Wednesday, if we're go, I know I'm doing some NASA spaceflight stuff in this gap right there. Then launch... And the PAO, so launch is at 6:24, PAO event is at 12:49, and then sleep period 1 begins. So I'm gonna have to try to get some sleep there. Flight day 1 highlights replays at 3, 4, and 5 a.m. Central. Integrity crew wake up, so that's 06:49 right there. So go to bed at 1, wake up at I'll probably be up earlier than that. And then the PAO event that night is 10. Crew sleep begins at 3. Flight 2 wakes up at noontime. Oh, there's a little bit of a gap there. That's not too bad. Yeah, that actually isn't too bad. I should be able to get to go into Flame Trench. Yeah. Yeah. OTC1 burn. Lunar flyby cabin configuration. TLI is on Thursday at 7. Thanks, Brandon. I appreciate that, man. Yeah. On flight day 1, they do a split sleep so they can do the perigee raise in high Earth orbit. Yeah, Earth orbit. That's the words that almost came out of my mouth there. Yeah, dudes, I'm gonna have to spend a lot of tomorrow preparing here. So don't count on any games tomorrow. We'll probably do Space News, and I'll probably check in with you guys before we actually get to doing this. So Creeper, I'm probably gonna do a Space News tomorrow, and probably that's it. Yeah, we'll probably get all caught up. Thank you once again for compiling all the links. Yeah. Sleep 8.5 hours, sleep 8.5 hours, sleep 8.5 hours. Yeah. Quarantine streams. 16-hour streams. Press conference is at 1 p.m. tomorrow. Well, I'm going to be here for that, Phil, so yeah. 4 people in a small capsule for about 10 days at Patchix, yeah. Orion has about the same internal volume as Apollo, as the CSM did. Probably a little bit more. But Apollo has, the Orion capsule has a lot more stuff on board, like a toilet, for instance. Yes, you heard that right. The Apollo CSM did not have a toilet. They gave them a bunch of Ziploc bags because it was lighter. And that, think about that, microgravity, that ended about as good as you think it did. Yeah, that actually happened, Shmemeron. Yes. There is a bag of poop floating around in deep space because of this. That's not one of mine. Yep. I hope you had your fiber. Will you be doing the marathon stream on YouTube as well? Yes. Yeah, I will, Rarest. Yeah, see, they split. That's what, yeah. So the day 1 into day 2 is going to suck. But the rest of this should be good. I hope you didn't have too much fiber. Yeah, right? Is the Excel spreadsheet document available? Somebody linked this in chat, and I have no idea who did it. But whoever did, thank you. And yes, it's right there. Yeah, we're gonna... Woof. This is gonna get crazy. We're gonna get crazy, dudes. This is gonna be fun. It's like the quarantine streams. This is gonna be a good time. During the pandemic, guys, if you guys weren't here for it, I streamed 16-hour days, 7 days a week. From... basically like April of 2020 through like, I don't know, what was it, guys? Probably April of 2021, maybe? Yeah. You're about to be on the same sleep schedule if you get lucky. All right. All right. That's actually, you know what, Taylor, you reminded me. Do you guys want to play games during this time? Like, there's going to be times where we have to fill, you know, where we might have to fill content, like when they're out of signal and stuff. We could probably play games, like February 2021, Chief? Yeah, something like that. Yeah, but we will always split screen the thing. But I need to play something that, like, I can't play something like Winter Car because you can't pause that game. You know, if something goes weird with the mission, or we're coming up on a mission timeline, I don't want, you know, we need a game like Factorio. Battlefield, the matches are quick enough that we'd be able to figure out, like, how long it is. KSP, always. Yeah, absolutely. We could do Satisfactory, sure. No, Yarg, I'm not doing that. I don't have the time to set that up. Have you tried replicating Artemis II in KSP yet? That can be part of the fun. Cities with finishing the racetrack. Yep. Yep. Carol, you're going to be jumping back and forth between here and NSF. Yeah. Will there be 24/7 live coverage from NASA? Yes, but that's really pending connection issues, Reddit. Yeah, this is that document is from NASA itself, but it's been imported into Google Sheets. Okay, cool. Yeah, I think we'll center around Kerbal, obviously. Kerbal, Factorio, and Cities. I think between those three, I should have enough. There should be enough content here. Pocopia is a good game to pause and has spaceships. Shut up. You be quiet. Quiet. I'm not playing Propecia or Panda Bear or Patamame or whatever the hell it's called. We're not doing that. Potatotopia or whatever. You could always go old school and play RCT2. I don't know, maybe. The hell is Pocopia? It's a new Pokemon game, Taylor. You did play Animal Crossing on stream once. Yeah, you haven't noticed that I haven't touched it since. Yeah, Formic, I think we got a good set of games. No, Headmana, that's not happening. Out of Ore. You know, we'll keep Out of Ore waiting in the wings, Weather Guy. We'll keep Out of Ore waiting in the wings. We could do Flight Simulator, Bandit. If we have time, we'll keep that in the wings. Battlefield's the first game you've played in a hot minute. Yeah. %80 go for the first window, Dino. Out of Ore is horrible. All right. But Brimo can't. Brimo's going to be working. Brimo has a job. Remember? With Battlefield, you can always just close the game when needed. I think we'll move Battlefield to like late night stuff, just like it is right now. Yeah, man. We're doing this, dudes. I don't have the schedule like totally figured out in my head, but we're going to do it. Oh, yeah, you guess you have to do that. His stationer's been suggested like literally less than a second ago, Dino. Like actually less than 5 seconds ago by Beltbox in chat. Adult diapers ordered. No need for those. What are you going to do during the flame trench? Flame trench? I can't read, my bad. Yeah, dudes, that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to need to get more rest. But I'm going to need to get some sleep, and then tomorrow we got to prepare for this. It's also, oh, Easter weekend. Yeah, I know. What are you going to do? Astro levels. EJ, can you help me stop seeing every time they compare Artemis 2 with Apollo 8, which actually burned twice for lunar orbit? Why isn't Artemis 2 doing an actual lunar insertion? Thank you very much. Orion doesn't have the Delta V to do it. There's not enough fuel to go where the CSM went. Because Orion's not designed to go where the CSM could go. With Orion's architecture, Astro levels, the short story is that they wanted a bigger lander and a smaller service module. Somebody somewhere thought that was a better idea, which it's not, but yeah. So they're only flying by the moon. Yeah, you won't be around on Sunday. Oh no, that's right. Yeah, guys, I'd need to take April 5th. We'd need to take April 5th, so that'd be one day off over the next, like, 10 days. I already committed to a party. Already committed to a party, then. PTO approved. Thank you. See, this is the kind of stuff I got to figure out. This is the kind of stuff I really have to iron this out. I have to iron out sleep schedule, how we're going to do it, etc., etc. Denied. Yeah, dude. You're in your late 30s. You could flake. Nah, not this one. Not this one. I said I'd help my dad cook for Easter dinner. Can't get out of that. I'm not gonna do that to my dad. He would that would end very poorly. Family. 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 That would end very poorly. I'm sure he would understand. I mean, he probably would, but I'm still not doing that. At the risk of sounding like Vin Diesel, there's only one thing I like more than spaceflight, and that is family. I'm not even kidding with that. That's the one thing that I put in higher regard than spaceflight, and there's not a lot on that list that goes higher than spaceflight with me, dude. Not even kidding. Yeah, Yarg, that's most likely the thing, but he's not going to because he has to cook, and I'm not going to because I have to help him, so. What do you need to cook for? You're Italians, get a pizza. You're suggesting to an Italian-American family for Easter dinner to order a pizza, Toothless. That you... Just want to be very clear here that that's what you're suggesting. That's not a good idea. That's not a good idea. That is a very bad idea. Let me put it to you that way. If I showed up with like 10 pizzas to Easter dinner, I would get slapped. Even if it's the best pizza around, you'd still get slapped. Someone doesn't know Italian Americans. I'm pretty sure Toothless was kidding. Yeah, yeah, Michigan. That is not a good idea. Like, that's a bad idea. I honestly forgot Easter was a thing. So did I, dude. This is the Ion. Headfinger. Jeez. Or most Catholic Euro. That's right, Krasno. Yeah, you ain't kidding, man. You show up with pizza, with takeout freaking with delivery to Easter dinner, you're dead. Dead. Like, that's not a good idea at all. Don't do that. It's funny though. It did get a good laugh out of it. We saw this on stream the other day. Oh my goodness. And slice, burnt spots everywhere, irregular shaped base. Random leaves probably taken from a bush outside or something. Yeah. Yeah, because it would have been grown in the garden. Blobs of cheese, that's mozzarella. Uneven sauce, expensive. Mamma mia, I burned the pizza. Perfect round base. Plenty of toppings. Lots of cheese spread through. Cooked to perfection. Inexpensive. Delivered in under 30 minutes or I get another one for free. Enjoy your pizza, sir, said the Chad Domino's delivery driver. So fucked up. Oh my goodness. Total Novice here. What do you all normally have for Easter dinner? Ham. You have a spiral ham.
Discovery, go at throttle up.
That would be like the thing. Like if Thanksgiving has turkey, right? Easter dinner has spiral ham, dude. And lamb, too, yeah. Mm-hmm. Bobby picked up 2 hams an hour ago. Nice. Wisp, 81-month resub. Chief is doing a lot of work there. Domino's is actually pretty inexpensive, Wisp, to be honest with you. We do get Domino's from time to time. It's not bad. I wouldn't be buying Domino's if there was a Jets here. If there was a Jets, that's what I'd be buying. Jets is, let's say, fairly priced for what you get. Beef for all holidays. I'm not gonna say that I don't have a brisket ready to go. 1062, but yeah. Jets is the best, man. I love Jets. It's so good. Detroit style pizzas. Out of all the Italian American style pizzas, that's at the top of my list. New York thin crust is right behind it. Like, Detroit's my favorite. Chicago is okay. It's pretty good. I'll eat it. I'd eat that. It's more a casserole than a pizza, but whatever. I'm thinking a Boston area franchise now. Bob, here's the thing, dude. I'm not 100% sure a Jets would do good in Massachusetts. I'm not 100% sure. It would have to be in the right place. Dude, we're just like that hearty Midwestern stuff doesn't fly out here too well, you know. But if done correctly in the right spot, oh yeah. Honestly, if we were gonna franchise the Jets, dude, I would want it like right next to right in the city, next to all the colleges. Yeah, next to all the colleges. That's where I'd do it. Because think about it, with the colleges, you get kids from out of town, right? And they could potentially be from places that have Jets. So if there is a Jets, they're going to order it. Because if you grew up with Jets, which I did not, if you grew up with Jets, you know. What are you going to play after Space News? Taylor, I'm actually probably going to go clean my shop. Yeah, I'm going to go clean off the couch, clean up the shop. Clean off my kitchenette. There's a bunch of plywood sitting on top of it from the toolbox stream. No, not the New York Jets. We don't like that Jets. Those Jets are stupid. What a Southern barbecue type place. What a Southern barbecue? We have some Southern barbecue places, yeah. They do okay. Hey, Dan Mac, what's up? What am I supposed to do with all the stone on Volcanus? Toss it into lava. Or use it to make landfill? What is the prep for lunch? You gonna have snacks? I'm gonna have to go to the grocery store tomorrow morning, dude. Yeah. But I think the biggest thing, Blazin, that I'm gonna have to do is rest. Yeah, we gotta rest. The first night is going to be terrible. There's only they split the shift to do the perigee raise burn. See PRB right there? So yeah, we're not streaming, or we're not sleeping. We're not sleeping for the first 14 hours. Yeah. They're going to try to live stream the entire mission. Yep. Rest and water, you'll be fine. Yeah, exactly. That's right, man. I mean, how stupid can 2 free wins a season basically be? Touche. What time is crew wake up? On launch day? Suit up for the crew starts at 12:40, so 20 to 1. Hey, Def, what's going on, man? That overview timeline has been updated, by the way. Okay. I don't understand how, but all right. Yeah, they're going to wake up 8 hours before launch. Yep. Boreal, has it updated in the last 30 minutes? Because that's when this was first linked to me. Will you barbecue grill during the mission? I'd have to go get my grill out. It's still packed up. I don't have water out in the shop, and there's no water line that's close. 1062. Do you guys still have snow? All the snow is gone. Yeah. The only snow that's left are the big piles of snow that are in parking lots. If you live where it snows, you know what I'm talking about. Theoretically, up. Hey, Will Pearson, what's up, dude? Great stream. Followed over from the KSP stream. Super stoked for this mission. Keep up the great work as always. Thanks, Will. I appreciate those words, man. Yeah, it's going to be hot and heavy, dude. So the first day is going to be a 16-hour stream for the most part, between NSF and everything else. How can one sleep the night before launch? I can't even sleep the night before a flight. Close your eyes and start counting sheep. See, on day 2... Yeah. Integrity crew wake up at 0600, 0649. 0600 is not 0649. You know why? They're two different numbers in there. Yeah. Yeah, man. That's going to be a long day. The rest of this shouldn't be too bad. Crew wake up. So I'll be here around 0600. And, yeah. You think NASA will provide constant coverage? Actually, during the press conferences, they have said that they are going to try to stream as much of this as humanly possible. The only thing that's going to stop it is connection. So if they don't get a good signal with Orion. As NASA said, will there be any LC people from the Apollo days in the firing room? Launch control people? No, they haven't said anything about that. I don't know. Maybe they're ceremonially. Who knows? I think the astronauts are going to be given uppers before the launch. I know it's common with pilots on long sorties. I don't know, and I think even if they were deaf, they wouldn't tell us. Do they have a private part of the capsule to use the facilities? There's a bathroom and a shower. There's a toilet and a curtain. Yes, like Dragon. They'll probably switch the cameras to external when someone needs to take a dump yard, just like they do with Dragon. Should be live early. I'll get to watch while at the gym instead of dreading it. Yeah, there you go. What are uppers? Drugs. Yeah. All right, guys. Well, so tomorrow we'll do a big space news so we can get caught up on all the different space news. Today is me kind of scrambling because I just realized what I just signed up for. This is going to get crazy. Yeah, as long as Easter is not the flyby weekend, yeah. What did you sign up for? Tan, I'm going to do some of the countdown to launch, at least I think, for NSF. And then the rest of this, I'm going to stream as much of this as humanly possible. And my thing is I want to sleep when the crew sleeps. But here's the thing. If I'm going to sleep when the crew sleeps, I don't want to be far from the computer just in case something goes weird, right? Uppers is the military. Uppers for the military is usually a huge dose of Adderall. Yeah. Yeah, uppers. Yeah, I know. Yeah. 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 Stream the cleanup of the garage. Guys, I would want to get this done. You can't see me. This is not like one of those things where this is just, yeah, I need to get this done because I'm scrambling because I did get a lot of sleep over the weekend, but I knew my brain didn't really rationalize what this actually is. I kind of thought like I'm going to stream as much of this as possible, but if we're really going to do that and sleep when the crew sleeps in the garage, this is going to get a little involved. I am woefully unprepared to do this right now. I might need tomorrow to do it. Yeah, there you go, Tan. Yeah, exactly. Streaming makes everything take longer. That's correct. Yes, it does. I mean, you don't need to sleep in the garage. You're close enough. So, Shaw, but here's how I see it. If I don't sleep in the garage, I'm not going to have the NASA stream up while Bree is trying to sleep next to me. You know what I mean? How's KSP? Good, RJ. We started work on the gantry crane, on the MST gantry crane. Yes, Hibbit. That's correct. So, doesn't NASA usually have a jar of peanuts around during a launch? Yes, they do. Yeah, I'm going to be on the couch, dudes. Yeah, that's how this is going to roll. I'm going to be on the couch, so yeah, and I'll have the speakers turned on in the shop, so if something goes weird, and I'll have my phone on too, if something goes weird. Like, I got to set this all up. I got to set it up and configure it to do it right. 80% go on the weather, Dan. So yeah, guys, I think I'm gonna pop off here for this space news. This was good. We have to get this right. I hope you enjoyed the Falcon 9 launch, the presser, and yeah, if you guys have anything, if you want to DM me on Discord, anything that I might be forgetting or any suggestions for how we're gonna do this, yeah, my DMs are open on Discord. If you need an overnight observer, I work 10 to 6 weekdays if you need a backup. Okay, Hibbit. I'll think about it. All right, see you and good luck with the prep. Yeah, so fellas, here's what we're going to do. Tomorrow, I might be a little bit late. I'm going to set an expectation of maybe playing Kerbal tomorrow. Maybe. Big maybe, okay? We are going to do a space news. I'm going to try to get everybody caught up with space news. There's a press conference for Artemis at 1 p.m. I will be here for that, okay? So, yeah, I got to go start taking inventory on what I need and how I'm going to do this. Do you have an FTP in the garage? I'm not pooping in here. I'm just going to go down to the house. All right. So, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the Space and Rocket review. I'll see you guys tomorrow at 1 p.m. for the press conference. And then we'll go from there. Thank you very much for watching. Have a good night, everybody.